Hey guys, Eric with Blue Line Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Your time's important to me as always, and what we're going to do in today's time is we're going to talk about the best and bust lures of 2022. So the lures that produced for me all year long, did a great job, and then those lures that I tried and tried, but they just didn't quite produce for me. Stick around and we'll get into it. Okay guys, let's get into this. Best and worst lures, or best and bust lures of 2022. And these lures too, I'll let you know, just because they're on the bust list, you may have a lot of success with them. They just didn't work out for me, and believe me, I fished them a lot, put a lot of hours on these lures. But we're gonna start with the bust and go to the best, that way we end on a good note. But with that being said, let's get to our first lure. Okay, first on the list by 13 Fishing is the Jabberjaw. Man, I'll probably take some heat for this because I know there's a lot of guys out there that like these. And I fished this bait extensively in the spring, threw it in the summer, threw it in the fall, and it just did not produce for me. And I even picked up two of them when I bought them, to be fair, one in a crawl pattern and then one in a shad pattern. And this bait, it has this articulating jaw right here that kind of like a chatterbait. It puts out a lot of vibration. And I'll say, man, this bait looks great coming through the water. It looks just sexy coming through the water. But man, I threw it again and again and again, different types of water conditions, water temperatures, you name it. Put a lot of hours on this bait, caught a few fish, but it just was not the producer that I thought it was going to be after all the hype around it last year. But 13 Fishing Jabberjaw, got to be on the bust list for me. Next up, guys, is the Yoda Worm. This is by 10,000 Fish. Another bait that I picked up that I thought would just be a fantastic finesse bait. And you can see it, the way I'm holding it here, barely moving it, and this tail just bounces all over the place. So I thought, man, this will be just a kick butt finesse bait. It looks really good, but the thing about it, the two knocks on it I've got are, one, if you do get bitten, I did catch a few fish on them. This tail, if you get short striking, it's like a soft hand pour. It just tears right off and it's gone, and then you're switching baits pretty frequently. The second knock on it I have is I just didn't catch fish on it like I thought I would. And man, I really did fish this bait hard. But the Yoda Worm by 10,000 Fish, not mad at him, just not the bait I thought it was going to be. Next up, the Jackhammer Stealth Blade. And you guys know, if you watch the channel, I'm a huge fan of chatterbaits. My favorite by far is the Evergreen Jackhammer. But man, this Stealth Blade, I wanted it to work so bad, especially in clear water situations, situations where you want a little less thump and a little less action in the bait, those clear water conditions and such. But man, I tried this bait over and over again. I tried it in clear water, stained water, muddy water, different water temperatures, and it definitely does not have the thump and the action of the regular Jackhammer or just the original chatterbait for that matter. But it's disappointing because I really thought that this was going to be kind of a groundbreaker as far as chatterbaits go. But man, I threw it quite a bit last year as well. Picked up a few fish here and there on it. But man, it is not the producer that I thought it would be. And I'll probably take some heat for this about like the Jabberjaw, because I know there's some guys out there that love them. But then again, you see this on sale a lot of places now, the Stealth Blade. And there's a reason for that, is because I don't think it's sold for them the way they thought it would. And that's because I just don't think it's a bait that produces that well. And last on the bust list is this swim bait, and this is a 13 Fishing Chiro. It's got a different design to it. As you can see, it's got kind of a segmented head up here, and then if you can see, a segmented body. And I thought it would have a ton of action to it. I originally bought this to be a chatterbait trailer, and I also tried it on a trailer as a spinnerbait trailer, and then fished it with a belly weight, Texas style, and then I just fished it weightless as well. And man, this swim bait has as much action going through the water as a pencil. And I'm not picking on 13 Fishing because I think they've got some great stuff out there. But man, the Jabberjaw, and then this one here, the Chiro, as far as the swim bait goes, just not the bait I thought it would be. And I fished it, like I say, in a lot of different applications, weightless, belly weighted, as a trailer, and it just was not the soft swim bait that I thought it was going to be. So for me, that's on the bust list as well. But now let's get on to the best baits, at least for me, in 2022. Okay, first up on the best lures in 2022 for me, production-wise, the Net Bait Pack-A-Slim. This is the 4-inch model. It's in Coosa Flare. Man, I caught a lot of fish on this past year, and caught a lot of nice big fish on it too. Originally bought it just to fish Texas rig with the tungsten weight, but then I tried it weightless. It worked there too, especially in shallow water. And then trimming it down, usually past in between this first and second segmented legs right here. Would cut it off about right here and use it as a jig trailer. Also use it as a chatterbait trailer. Just an all-around fantastic, soft plastic. And I've used it in a number of different colors, but man, this is a top-notch producer for me in 2022. You should give this one a try for sure. Next up, not a new bait by any stretch of the imagination, but here it is, the Chatterbait Jackhammer. Man, that I catch a lot of fish on it this past year and 2021. I caught some of my biggest fish of the past 2 years really on this and a spinnerbait as well. But this is green pumpkin on this one right here, a 3/8 model. Bought it mainly all year through a 3/8, and I threw a 1/2 ounce. But I've also thrown the big 3/8 or 3/4 ounce. I didn't do as well on that because I don't fish as deep of water. Most of the time I'm more of a shallow water angler. But the Jackhammer, I know they're pricey, but a discount tackle, I don't have any affiliation with them, but they're the cheapest I've found them. It's about $12 and change for them, which is pretty much cheaper than anywhere else I've found. But anyway, Jackhammer, definitely top the list. So next up is another net bait product, and I don't have any affiliation with them, but man, they made some baits that really produced for me this past year. This right here is the 3 1/4 inch little Spanky. The color on this one is called Copperfield, and it was my best producing color. Originally bought this to be a chatterbait or a spinnerbait trailer. Did a great job with that. But I'll tell you what, I was actually getting into really just fishing it with a jig head, like an 1/8 of an ounce jig head on there. Also fishing it with a 2/0 wide gap hook, weightless, and throwing it up on top of grass beds and in shallow water. Did a really good job for me. But of all the swim baits that I fished last year, and I fished a bunch of them, the net bait little Spanky just did a fantastic job for me. These are ones too that a lot of times you can find at Walmart or Academy or something like that. You don't really have to special order them. But man, I really, really like this one right here. Should give these a try as well. And last but not least, guys, this shouldn't surprise anybody if you watch the channel. My #1 producer for last year was the good old spinnerbait. And you know what's funny about the spinnerbait? Watch the thing on Wired to Fish and some other big channels out there, how the spinnerbait is making a resurgence. People are really starting to throw it again. Well, I've never stopped. I've been making them now for about 18 years. And this is one that I made. One of my best producers last year was this shad color with a double willow combination with a really small number 1.5 willow up front. But anyway, shallow water, or especially those pre-spawn conditions, and then actually post-spawn during the shad spawn, did really, really well on this color pattern here. And then another one that you just don't see guys throw as far as spinnerbaits go, color-wise, I threw this. It's a bluegill pattern, but it's this basically green pumpkin and purple. But I think what makes it unique is this copper colored blade. It's hammered on one side, finish wise, and then smooth on the other. Number 4 Colorado on the back, number 2 Colorado up top. But this bluegill pattern right here in muddy water conditions, stained water, or even clear water where you had a really high bluegill or panfish population, did really, really well on it. And like I say, I don't think the spinnerbait's making a comeback for me because I've fished it over the years so much. It's my #1 bait almost always because it's a great search bait. You can power fish it. You can slow it down and slow roll it. You can yo-yo it. I mean, it's such a versatile bait. And I don't really, I don't care what spinnerbait that you're throwing as far as manufacturer goes. I think the most important thing really on it is, rather than color, is blade combinations, or what blade you're throwing for the water conditions, the clarity, the temperature and such. Probably the #1 spinnerbait out there color-wise is chartreuse and white, and that catches an absolute ton of fish. I throw it too, but I think more important than that is the blade combinations on it. Whether you're throwing the willows, the Colorado, Indiana blade, there's a whole tomahawk blades. I mean, there's a whole bunch of blade combinations out there you can throw. But anyway, those are my best lures for 2022. So that is a look at the best and bust lures for 2022 for me. Let me know down in the comments below if some of these lures were some of your top producers, or some that I had on the bust list were some of your top producers, and what you think produced best for you in 2022. If you enjoyed the video today, got something out of it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget, check out the description down below. I've got some product discount codes for you guys as well. I'll try and leave links for most of the products that I showed you here today, or the lures I showed you here today, down in the description as well too. And don't forget, until that next video, get out there and fish.